Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Ebony. I am a human design reader, expert, and coach. And today we're going to be talking about how to use your strategy when it comes to your business. So I'm going to have a free PDF that accompanies this video just to give you some deepening questions, and so you can have all the information in a PDF so you don't have to, if you want to listen to it and then go get the PDF, you can get that in the description box. Also, I am opening up my Simple Business Academy, which is essentially how you're going to walk into 2025 with a solid foundation for your business and even your first sale, your first client, or your next sale or your next client. So you'll be walking away with a social media plan, a launch plan, a fleshed out offer, a business structure. All of that comes with weekly coaching from me. So if you're interested in the Simple Business Academy, the information for that will be down below as well. And let's go ahead and get started with manifestors. So as a manifestor, your strategy is to initiate and inform. So there's two parts to this. And this is something I think that we don't talk about enough. As a manifestor, you are not always going to be initiating. Okay, initiating is one part of your cycle. So whenever there's a conversation about manifestors in business, they're always like, well, how do you make a business if you don't finish things? Or how are you supposed to make a business if you're just supposed to initiate? That's not all that you do. And I talked about this a little bit in the types in business video, which was the first video of this series. You're not always going to be initiating. Okay, there's a cycle. So the first part of the cycle is you're receiving the idea. Okay, this is when something is trying to move through you. This is the urge, right? It's coming through. You're figuring out what it is. Great. The second part of the cycle is you start to take action. This is the initiating portion. You have this burst of energy. You're taking the action. You're doing the things to make this urge, make this vision come to life in the physical. The next part of the cycle is your energy starts to wane, and that's when you start to pass things off, cut energetic ties. You start to make it so that you can release this thing to someone else to finish. You brought it here, and now you get to pass it on. That's what this third piece of the cycle is. And then the fourth piece is reflection. This is where you're reflecting, you're thinking about what went well, what didn't go well, how was this process for you, you're learning, you're gaining wisdom, right? That's the reflection phase. The only part of this cycle where you are actually, actively taking action, initiating this thing, is the initiation portion. So the other part of your strategy is informing. When you have a business, right, think of your initiation phase as when you're bringing something new through. You're starting some new thing, right? Now, the rest of your business, like I talked about in the first video, is you inspiring other people, you using your voice to inspire people and inspire other people to action, talking about whatever it is that you want to talk about, right? So throughout the first part of your phase, the third part of your phase, and the fourth part of your phase, you are informing. You're informing your audience about whatever you're talking about, whatever it is that you're interested in, whatever you have based your business around. Most of your business is going to be informing because you're not always going to be initiating. And that's okay. You don't always have to be initiating to have a successful business, right? The bulk of your business is going to be you informing. And then when the initiation part of your cycle comes, that is when you initiate. Okay, so your strategy is waiting for that thing that wants to be initiated by you. And while you're waiting, you are informing. You are keeping your audience up to date on what is going on. You're talking to them about the things that you want to talk to them about. You're helping them with the things that you want to help them with. If you're a coach, right? That's what you're doing. And then you're waiting and allowing yourself to follow your urges. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Moving on to generators. Generators, your strategy is to respond. Okay, and responding, I've talked about this a lot before. Responding is taking action. It's not thinking about something. It's not, Like it's not this contemplative thing. Responding is taking action. Responding comes from the sacral center. The sacral center is the biggest motor center in the body. Okay. So when you respond to something, it's either saying, yes, I'm going to do something, or no, I am not going to do something. Right? So when something comes into your experience, like an idea or a person or an opportunity, you respond, you say yes or you say no. And depending on what that response is, that determines the action that you take. So if an opportunity comes into your experience and you say yes, you then go and take that opportunity. You go do the thing, whatever the thing is, right? If you say no, then the action you're going to take is not doing that thing. It's going to be redirecting it to someone else. It's going to be telling that person, no, I'm not going to be doing this, right? So really, for generators, you're going to be taking action because the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is constantly going to be presenting things to you that you need to respond to, which means you need to stay very present. You need to be paying attention, and you need to be responding to what is coming into your field of vision. Now, when you are waiting, because again, your strategy is to wait to respond. Okay, so while you are waiting, you do the things that you already know to do. So if you have a business and let's say you're a productivity coach, you do your productivity coaching. You make your content, you work with your clients, whatever it is that you do those things. Assuming, because again, we've talked about this before, your business needs to light you up. It needs to be satisfying and pleasurable for you on some level. So you should be doing what you already know to do in this business that is already satisfying for you while you are waiting for the other things that you're supposed to respond to show up in your experience. So waiting doesn't always mean, you're just sitting down in a dark room waiting for things. No, you go out, you do the things that you're already doing, you do the things that are already satisfying to you, and you wait for more things to present themselves to you so you can say yes or you can say no. Okay? Follow the things that light you up, stay connected to your sacral, stay in the present moment, and pay attention. Okay? Now, manifesting generators. You have a mixing strategy. So your strategy is to wait to respond and then inform. Okay, so remember, with that sacral center defined, you are a generator at your core, which means, going back to the generator advice, you need to be waiting to respond. And while you're waiting to respond, you need to do the things that you already know to do that are satisfying and pleasurable to you. Now, when you decide to respond to something, you also need to be informing, because again, you have that manifestor aspect, which means you need to be using your voice. You need to be speaking. You need to be informing your audience of the actions that you're taking, of the decisions that you are making, because they want to hear what you're doing. But again, while you're waiting to respond to things, you need to be speaking. You need to be informing people, right? And with the interesting thing about manifesting generators is that we lack patience. we like to jump into very quick action, right? And sometimes that can get us into trouble, but also sometimes that's what helps us find those shortcuts that we were talking about in the first video, right? So you want to find a balance between moving quickly and jumping from thing to thing as it feels right and as it feels aligned, but also making sure that you are actually satisfied and actually lit up by something before you jump into it. There's a very thin line between aligned jumping between things and just jumping just to be jumping because you're impatient about the results. Okay? So wait to respond. While you're waiting to respond, always be informing. Okay? Now, moving on to projectors. Projectors, your strategy is to wait for the invitation. Okay, now what does this really mean? I want to break this down so it makes complete sense. When you are waiting for the invitation as a projector, you are waiting for recognition. Okay, you are the expert. Let's just get that out of the way. You are the expert. And what you are waiting for is for people to recognize you as an expert and come to you for help. Okay? You need to be seen as an expert, and that's when the invitations are going to come, which means you need to see yourself as an expert first, and then you need to showcase your expertise. So then you become the expert to your audience. You become the expert to other people. Okay? And when they recognize you as an expert and they come to you and they ask you for help, that is an invitation. And when you are given an invitation, if it is an aligned invitation, you take it, and that is your strategy in business. You must be recognized. You should not, this is so important. You should not be working with anyone who does not recognize you as an expert. Because people can ask you for your opinion, they can ask you for advice and not see you as an expert. That recognition is so important. Okay, so your strategy as a projector is to hone your expertise, right? Whatever system that you've decided is your niche, your area of expertise. You hone that, you master it, you talk about it, right? In a public way. I always say projectors need to have something, a blog, a podcast, or a YouTube channel. Every single projector, especially ones who want to start their own business, need to be showcasing their expertise in some public way and take on aligned invitations. When someone recognizes you as an expert, you give them your expertise. And then there's an exchange, of course, usually with money, because that's how we work in our society. But there's always some exchange for your knowledge. Okay. And finally, for reflectors, your strategy in business is waiting a lunar cycle. What are you doing when you're waiting? There's a few different things. Okay. So the first thing that you're doing is you're observing. So much of what you do as a reflector is you're anticipating, you're almost seeing into the future, right? Because we talked about the energetic landscape. That's what you're doing as a reflector. You are feeling into what is happening, what is coming, and how do we need to prepare. So your strategy when you're waiting that lunar cycle, you're feeling into the stuff. You are observing, and you're mirroring back to your audience exactly what you are observing. Okay. At the same time, you're tracking you're tracking the lunar cycle, right? You're seeing how that is affecting you, right? How the different gates are activating the different authorities within your chart. All of this is happening during those 28 days, and that is what you are reflecting back to people. That waiting period is so important because you are literally feeling into the energetic landscape and what is going on, and that is going to determine what you're talking about, what you're offering, the things that you're saying, your message, right? Also, while you're waiting, you need to make sure that you are spending time alone, because as a reflector, you are taking on so much energy because all of your centers are open. So you need to make sure you are spending time alone in nature so that you can release any energy that isn't yours, cleanse yourself of any energy that isn't yours, so that your energetic channels are free and clear again to observe the influences that are going on, which you can then mirror back to your audience. So for you, it's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of observing, but again, you are also, as you're waiting and as you're observing, reflecting what is going on. So you can do that through speaking, right? You can have a podcast, you can have a YouTube channel, maybe you have a blog, maybe you have an Instagram channel that, you do little daily reels that talk about whatever it is that you're observing in the energetic landscape, right? Whatever it is, while you're waiting, you're also reflecting. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you want a little bit more information, or you want all of this information in a PDF form, the Strategy in Business PDF, you can get that for free in my description box. If you are interested in joining Simple Business Academy and starting off 2025 with a simple, sustainable business that is aligned to your human design. All the information for the Academy will be in the description box as well. And I will see you in the next video.